And now, Clutch Radio with Raffy and Dan. Here's Dan Rosenberg and Raffy Manassian.
We need to get the music to somehow keep playing. That's one feature they don't have yet on this fine software. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Raffy. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Dan. I am in my nearly complete studio, so I've still got a lot of work to go to do still, finishing the walls, painting and all that, but coming along.
Are you going to put like Wi-Fi extenders and blocking things and soundproof? I mean, like how much more stuff you can do in your studio?
There's a lot more to do. I got to put, like you said, I got to do the Wi-Fi extenders. I might get a separate router down here. You know, in the other studio, I have a music studio as well, separate of the house. It's an outbuilding. That's got various acoustic stuff and treatments and things like that. But for in here, I just need it to be more or less quiet so that I
yes.
do my magic work.
Do the magic. Well, welcome to Clutch Radio, everybody. We're here every Saturday morning or afternoon, depending on where you're listening to, or whenever you're listening to, if it's the podcast. And we talk about everything car related, buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit, whatever, as I used to always say on the old show. Or if you want to talk classic cars, if you want to talk repairs, we're not mechanics by trade, but Raffy does know a little bit about everything.
I can fix a car reasonably well.
Yes.
But neither of us, as you state, are mechanics by trade. And so what are we by trade exactly, Dan? That's the question.
What's that? A jack of all trades? Master of none? Would we qualify for that? You're a master in many things, though.
Well, I think I'm probably a master of design, if anything.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I think I'm good at talking.
You're a master of talking, a master of that.
Yeah, I can talk. So this week we have a couple of cool things to talk about. I did get a few emails during the week of some questions, and I told the people, "Hey, come during the show, and we'll talk about it." I've got someone who's interested in getting rid of 2 cars that they own and you know replenishing their fleet. They've got a couple of mid 2000s in the Toyota and Honda family, and they're looking to get something new. I don't know if they'll pop in today or not, but I can answer those questions. I have another friend who's talking about getting a classic Mustang, and I thought that there's something you might be able to give some good input on.
Sure, happy to do that.
Because he's looking at like a finished one that's like, you know, $139,000. I'm like, yeah, you can start a little cheaper than that.
Wow, yeah. For a Mustang, at anything over $100,000, it better be pretty special. It could be a Shelby, or it could be you know, a Boss 302, or even some of the other later model Mustangs that have some interesting special features. But you know, usually 25 to 30 grand will buy you a nice Mustang. Yeah,
and for some reason I've been watching TikTok here and there because you know I'm 12 years old, and there's a couple of really cool ones on there where people are like buying beaters, and they're you know doing a little restoration to them. Like one was like a Geo Tracker that they bought for like $250.
Yeah,
they're watching the different steps as they go through. And like, yeah, I miss doing that. That was always fun to take. Just to you know go on Craigslist and say I have a $500 budget. That's all I'm going to spend. It's got to run and drive, and it can't be more than $500.
There you go.
And that's actually how I found my first my '62 Chrysler that I had. Is I had a $2,000 budget, and I found a really nice '62 Chrysler here in the Seattle area, and you know it was green and ugly, and I turned it into red and beautiful and put it on eBay, and somebody bought it years later. Now it lives in Germany.
Wow, there you go. You know, there's a lot of fun that can be had, like you said, just by starting with fairly low budget and putting aside some cash. You know, a couple $100 a month here and there. A year later, you got a car that runs, looks decent. It's also a great way to, like you know, I've said before, you get to meet a lot of new people. People in the trades that are professional painters, professional mechanics, upholstery people. You know, one of the things that's very often overlooked in a car is the satisfaction you get of redoing the interior. You know, taking the seats out from the car, pulling the carpeting out, putting in brand new fresh carpet. What a big difference that makes in the look and feel of an automobile, especially an older car.
The new carpet smell.
Oh yeah. And a carpet kit for most cars, 200, 300, 400 bucks. And it literally transforms an automobile.
Yeah. That 62 I had this ugly green factory carpet in it. And then they had put shag carpet over top of it.
Oh.
So it was like green shag from the 70s was still in the car. And I got a kit. I think it was $120, black carpeting.
Yeah.
The seats were like black vinyl, and we pulled them out and installed the carpet. And it totally changes the look and feel. Nothing better than a freshly vacuumed carpet in a car when it's a nice black, because all the dog hairs and all the little dots disappear. Just looks so much cleaner.
When you take the seats out, you usually find about $1 to $2 worth of change.
Yes, $1.47 is what I found. Ironically, it was some old pennies too. It was really cool.
There you go.
So this week, I talked about last week about talking about the Foursquare and what the Foursquare is. We kind of touched on it before, but I thought I'd do a deep dive into the tool that is used by salespeople at almost every dealership, at almost every level. There's some sort of this still being used today. They've gotten away from it a little bit because of the internet, and people figured out, oh, they're trying to trick me. But if you picture 4 squares, which is why it's called a Foursquare, and each square represents a different part of the car deal. One is the price of the car. One is the price of your trade-in, or the value of your trade-in. One is your down payment, and one is your monthly payment. And the initial goal of this Foursquare was to figure out your hot button. Which one are you more focused on? And then they just go with it. And most people are payment oriented. I mean, I would say 80% of the time.
Yeah.
It's payment. They don't care what you give them for their trade. They don't care how much you're selling the car for. They've got 1,000 down and want $250 a month. I mean, that's where they are. Yeah. So the trick was and this was the terminology. And when I first got in the car business, I had a sales manager who trained me this way. He was like, all you say is, we're going to make you a car deal practically on your own numbers. You tell us the numbers that'll make the deal work. And if we agree to these numbers, we have a deal today, don't we? And then you're supposed to shake your head yes while you're saying, don't we? And like they're going to fall for it because, oh, my head's shaking up and down. Oh, yes, of course. I mean, who wouldn't agree to that? If I said to you, Raffi, I will sell you my house at whatever number you tell me, you would be like, yeah, I'll buy your house. I'm going to buy your house because this is whatever number I tell you, of course. I'll give you $1.50.
And speaking of house, basically the same thing applies with house purchasing as well. A real estate agent will tell you, if we sell your home for this much, we can get you in this home and your financing will be this payment. And that's what most people are concerned about, is, as you point out, is the payment, because that's the thing that continues to be ongoing. Once you decide to do that purchase and go forward, it's just a matter of monthly payments. And if you convince yourself that you can afford $329 a month, then you could probably also afford $347 a month. So
right. And that gets me to a couple of the little trick words that they would use. So they'd always start with the price. So if it was a brand new car, they would put the sticker price. They would just, obviously you just write the sticker price. Sure. And of course people go, I'm not paying sticker. No, I just have to put it down. Let me just write the sticker price down. Okay. Then you go over to, oh, you have a trade-in? Okay. Well, cars like yours, similar model, similar miles, similar condition. I just saw one go through here the other day and they gave them $800 and you write down $800 and then people like jump out of there. $800? Are you crazy? Now, if they were thinking their car was worth $10,000 and you just said $800, no, sir, this is just what, and they cross it out. What were you thinking? Now, they're not going to say $10,000 if you just said $800. It's just not going to happen. They're going to come back with, they're going to be more real, $7,500, which still isn't crazy, but you just knocked $2,500 off what they were thinking by going lowballing them. So that's one of the tricks. And they go, okay, they write down, actually, they won't write that first one down. They go, 75. Wow, that's a lot for that car. I mean, you would go down. I mean, if they offered you $4,000, would that be, oh, no. So you write $4,000 down and then you cross it off. You want to have 3 things crossed off because your desk manager wants to make sure you did all the steps. So you're also playing against, as a salesperson, you're playing against, the desk. where you go get the pricing from. The guy in the back you've got to go see.
So I didn't know that part. That's really interesting. That's the reason why they're writing those things down.
Part of it is just to show their boss that they did the right steps.
So they're
and it also, but it's mental for you too. So they see these numbers.
Yeah.
And now you're at 4,000. They go, oh, 5,500 is the least I would take for my car. Okay. And then you write 5,500. So you just went from 10 grand to 5,500. You knock 4,500 off. Then you go to down payment. And immediately, and most of the forms always said 1/3 down. It was already pre-written on there. So you go, all right, well, this car, and you don't even look at the down payment. You just look at the car. Oh, it's $30,000 car. They like to see a third down. So 15,000 down. And they go, oh, that's half. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I haven't had my car. And you cross that out. You're right, 10,000 down. And they go, well, I can't put that much down. But again, if they're thinking 1,000 down, they're not going to come back and go, I can only put 1,000. They're going to say, I can do 3. All right, $3,000. Then this was the magic 2 words you would say. Up to, that's all you would say. You're just looking to go up to, you can put 3,000 down, up to 4. I mean, if I really, are you going to lose the deal over another 500? Could you, borrow it? Could we, could you call your neighbor, call your friend and say, hey, I need an extra $500 to get this car deal to work.
Would mom put some in? Yeah.
Could you call your mom? Just stupid things. But again, you had numbers and cross outs, and okay, so now you've got them to agree to 3,500 down, and then you go to payment. All right, based on these numbers, and you just made up a number too. You just go, you're looking at about $1,000 a month, and they go, what? Well, that's short-term financing. That's your best rate. That's your best deal. You're going to get out. The car's under warranty the whole time you're making payments. And you write that $1,000 a month down. And you go, well, how long were you thinking of making payments? Well, I don't know. I'll go 5 years. Okay, well, for 5 years, you're probably looking at like $800 a month. They go, well, that's ridiculous. You're not even doing real math here. You're just getting them to say what their number is. So as soon as they get to the point where they go, again, they were thinking 250. Everyone thinks 250 for a car payment still for some reason. Then they go, I could probably do, $500. Okay. And you write down 500 and you put a little dash, you up to, and you hit them with the up to again. I mean, $50 more a month. I mean, if you had one coffee a day, if you cut out one Starbucks trip a day, you can do an extra $75. Okay. So you got 500 to 575. So then you say, okay, based on your numbers, if we give you, 4,500 for your car or whatever, then I don't remember the number was. It was, 2 minutes ago, I already forgot. 4,500 for your car, 3,500 down, and up no more than 550 a month. You would buy the car today, right? And you do the thing, you put your hand out and you shake their hand and you just have you do a little okay. You just initial. This is not a commitment, just initial here. I'm going to take it to my boss, see what we can do. Now, the problem is some dealerships would require the down payment, like right there. Like they say, write me a check. We're not going to cash it for the down payment so I can show my boss you're serious and you want to make a deal today. And they would have you do that. And once you did that, you've committed. I mean, they're going to make that deal work because they've inflated the numbers that they're going to go present. Then they come back with, okay. And it used to be, they would do a thing called packing the payment. And they would say, okay, deal, your car plus, and no matter what you said for down payment, they would add money to it. So you said you agreed to 35, your car plus 5,000 down, and they would just put 582 per month, and they'd send that back. And that's all they would give you. So now you have to, as the buyer, you have to look at it and go, all right, well, I can't really do that much down, and the payment's pretty close to where I want it to be. So, I'll go up to $4,000 down, but I need my payment to be under 550. And then they write it again. You just bump them again. Then you go back to the desk, and the desk does another one. They always want the customer to win on the third pencil, as they call it. That's when they want the customer. They'll let the customer win. So how do you beat this? How would you beat it, Rafi? If you know what your car is worth, you know how much you want to spend a month, where would you go?
Well, for me, I always like to come prepared. So I might come with a Carfax for my vehicle. I might come with 2 or 3 online estimates, Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds, that would show my car, the year, the options. A Toyota Camry can be ranged in value from $2,500 to $7,000 if you have leather interior, sunroof, other options and features. So you want to be sure that you're representing your car in the best possible light. Do a little research ahead of time. Also, talk to your insurance company. The insurance company will give you, oftentimes, they'll give you fair market value for your vehicle. So, and you can tell them I'm thinking about trading it in to sell. And Kelley Blue Book does give you trade-in value as opposed to retail value. So you can see that those numbers are often substantially different.
Yeah.
So I'd go in armed with that stuff, and I would have the information put together as to what I believe I can afford. And I would tell them ahead of time, look, don't foursquare me on this deal. Here's what I can afford. Here's how I can put the whole thing together. Let's just go through this whole thing and get it done. And here's what I want to pay. Here's how much I'm going to pay. You guys figure out how much you need to get in trade-in on the car and all that, and the finance and all that stuff. But I would agree generally ahead of time to their financing terms, because dealers, as you well know, Dan, often make a ton of money on the back end with the financing.
Right.
So that's where they're doing some money, because if they can sell you 4% financing and buy it at 2.5%, they're making 1.5 on the deal.
And
so
legally, they're allowed to make up to 2%. That's the max.
So they can make some good money. To make 2% on multiple deals in a month is fantastic.
Yes.
And if you've got the cash, go ahead and buy their financing. Just write yourself a check the following month and pay it off.
Yeah.
If you've got the cash. If you don't have the cash and you think you can get financing from a better institution, have them make your best deal at their finance rate. And then on that third round, tell them, you know what? I just got off the phone with my credit union. They're going to give me 2.75. I think I'm going to go with them.
Yeah. And what you would do is whatever the rate is that your credit union can give you, whether they can or not, because customers play the same tricks the dealers play.
Sure.
So assume they're making 2 percentage points. So if they tell you, because now the law actually shows they can't just say, here's your payment. They have to say the term and the interest rate. So when they come back with the offer, it'll be 60 months, at 4.9% equals, and then here's your payment to the penny. Like they can't put extra in there. They used to put a little cushion in there. So that way, when you got into the finance box, as they call it, they would be able to add warranty or gap or throw in other or low jack or undercoating or pinstriping. They would throw those things in, but you've already agreed to a higher payment. So they could add a few things and not raise your payment that much, or even go, you know what? I can get you the warranty and it's only $1 more than you're paying right now. Really, it's like $12 more, but they've already added 11. So for an extra $1, you go, you know what? I'll take that. And people fall for that. But if you play them the same way, assume if they put 4.99, they're getting 2.99. So if you say, I can get, and still let them make a few bucks. Say, I can get 3.3 from my credit union or 3.29.
Yeah.
They'll come back and you know what? We'll match it. And they'll lose a little bit of their back end profit. But you always want to know what your payment should be before you go in. That's the biggest thing. If I was going to ever go in, they want payment shoppers. That's what salespeople find that the easiest. The desk managers find that the easiest. If you're locked in on a payment, you can't go over $300 a month. They will make a deal at $300 a month. They'll figure it out. So as long as you stand firm on what your payment needs to be, and start at $250, start at $225, and end at $3. Do the same thing they're going to do. They're going to start high and work down. You start down and work up, and right in the middle is where you're going to make your money. So know those numbers ahead of time.
And you can also, if you have 10 grand to put down, let's say, don't start with 10 grand to put down. Bring that piece of information to the game at the very end. So if you're looking for a $300 a month payment and they're telling you they can't get close to that, then you can say, well, look, I'm doing this deal at 5 grand down, but let's just say I get, what happens to my number if I put 7,500 down?
Right.
And then you can see if they work that number. Now they pushed and pushed and pushed with 5 grand down, and you've only revealed you've got 5 grand. If you've got some extra money to throw into the deal to get your payment down to where you need it to be, you can put in another 2,500, see what happens to the number. Your number may get quite a bit below 300, and then you can say, whether you can decide whether or not you want to put more money down. Keep in mind, and this is important, the payment that you get is going to be your payment throughout the term of the loan. So all your negotiation on payment needs to be made at that point. You can renegotiate your payment if you decide you want to put a lot more down. And you can renegotiate after you've purchased the car if you decide you want to put a larger chunk down against the principal. Some people will some agencies will recast the loan so that your payment is lower based on less principal remaining. But at the time you do the deal, you want to make sure that that deal is as clean and your payment is as low as possible so that you don't have to worry about it. You don't want to have to squeeze to make your payment. You don't want to be car rich,
Exactly.
cash poor.
Exactly. You don't want to be driving a car, parking your Mercedes in front of your trailer.
Yes. Well, now let's not make trailer assumptions, Dan.
Well, I didn't say single wide or double wide. I'm just saying. I didn't say it's in a park. It could be it could be waterfront. It could be a Malibu trailer. Those go for over $1 million. So
waterfront trailer.
Yes, the nice waterfront trailers. But yeah, the other thing is people still think that if you walk in, I'm paying cash. Give me your best cash price. The dealer doesn't want to hear that. They want to sell you the financing. That's a profit center for the dealership. There's the front end is the profit on the car. The back end is the profit on financing, warranty, all that stuff.
And there's another really important point is, as Dan mentioned, dealers don't want to do a cash deal because the customer is in and out. When you're doing a longer prolonged deal, there's more opportunity to upsell. Listen, you came here looking for this, but I got to tell you, this car's got this. Just take a look at it. Take a look and see what this car has. Wow, that interior is nice. Now close the doors, turn the sound system on. This is the upgraded sound. And come on, you're going to own this car for 5 years. This is the type of sound that you can enjoy for 5 years. So it's an opportunity to upsell whenever you have a deal that's going to take more time. That's the risk, is that you're in there and you're going to be upsold a lot of other items, and dealers want that. They want to be able to upsell you all the features and options because they make a lot of money off of many of those features and options, including people who go to buy a brand new car. And this is a car that's under factory warranty for 5 years. And at the purchase of the brand new car, they buy an extended warranty.
Yes. And I've seen people do something that is insane. They've bought extended warranties on a lease.
Why would you do that?
Well, I have a couple of friends in LA that are still finance managers, and they are masters at selling extended warranties on leases. And part of the reason is, what if you go over your miles?
Sure.
They extend the miles. Another reason is a lot of people buy their lease at the end of the lease, which is not the smartest thing in the world to do. Usually, if you get an 84-month loan, it's about the same payment as a 36-month lease, but you have the option at the end of 36 to get out. And you don't know what the rates will be 3 years from now. You buy it now, you're locked in. But they would sell a warranty saying, "Hey, do you sometimes keep them?" "I do." "Do you sometimes go over your miles?" "Yeah, I do." Well, you want this to be under warranty, definitely while you're leasing it, because it's not your car, you're renting it. If something goes wrong, you're responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep of this car. So if the engine blows at 48,000 miles, even though it's only 2.5 years, because you drive a lot, you have to put a new engine in this car. So sometimes they extend the mileage because the person might. Most people that lease because they don't put a ton of miles on. Or they say, well, I'm going to buy the car at the end of 3 years. So it's cheaper to get the warranty now as part of this payment than it would be to buy the warranty in the future on a car that's got tons of miles on, which is also true. So you can do it in some cases, but I would never recommend it.
Yeah, I don't recommend it either. I think, look, standard manufacturer warranties are fantastic for brand new vehicles. Engines don't blow up anymore.
Unless you drain them of all the oil.
Yeah, and even then, the technology that's available in modern engines, they really are quite reliable, very durable. And you can buy an automobile, a brand new automobile. You can see that the warranty is running out because your time is going through, your miles are accumulating. Call your insurance company and ask for an extended warranty. Your insurance company will sell you an extended warranty on your vehicle. They know your vehicle. You've got a service history. They know what type of driver you are. So you can get an extended warranty for another $2,000 that will extend for another 3, 4, sometimes 5 years. And it's a great way to go. You don't have to buy it through the dealership if you want a second warranty.
Right. And there are companies out there that are scammers too. You've got to be careful with warranties. That could be a whole other episode. Actually, it should be. We should talk about the outside companies that, you get phone calls all the time. Hey, your warranty's about to expire. Would you like to upgrade? Yeah. I'm like, I don't even have a car that's under warranty. So how would it be about to expire? It's typically a robocall.
We could do a whole series of shows on warranties, including home warranties.
Yes. I mean, because there's.
Oh, yeah.
You have to really read the fine print in a lot of them. A lot of car warranty companies have a limit of, some of the car warranties, it might have a $500 limit. That's all they'll pay.
That's right.
So, the dealership gives you a 1-year, 12,000 mile warranty that they paid $99 for, and the maximum payout might be $500 for one item.
Right.
But they don't tell you that. It's like, we'll do all this stuff, and then fine print maximum $500. So you have to really check out, if it's, Frankie Fly-By-Night warranty company, you might want to get a little bit better of a warranty. So when a dealership throws in, the lifetime powertrain warranty, you want to make sure also read the fine print. Does it cover everything? Does it cover, is there a deductible? Sometimes there's a $500 deductible. They cover everything over 500. So everything's not the same. So that's a future show for sure. Maybe next week will be warranty week.
There you go.
Now that we've talked about the Foursquare and how to cheat the dealership, which in a way is what they're doing to a lot of people. Not anymore. Let me back that up real quick. There are a ton of honest, great dealerships out there that do not do any of those games. Here's our price for the car. Here's, how much they're very straightforward and honest. And I'd be lying if I said every dealer still does. I know I said a lot of dealers. Again, it's the 80-20 rule. There's probably 80% of the dealerships out there do some sort of the negotiation tool using something based on the Foursquare. 20%, there's a lot of just flat price dealerships too, where this is the price. No, like CarMax, you go to CarMax, there's no negotiating. This is the price of our car. We do the trade-in separate. We buy your car whether you trade in or not, separate transaction. And here's our warranty. Here's our gap. Here's everything we sell. And can you negotiate? I've never really heard of anybody being able to negotiate the price of a car to CarMax. The warranty I've heard people negotiate. The rate I've heard people negotiate, because you always have the option to take the car and finance it yourself. And again, they're making money on financing. Yeah. So if you have any questions about that, I would love to have your emails or your comments in the comment section. Or if you use any of our tips during the week and you go out buying a car, let us know about it.
So I had an interesting question come up, and this came from my older daughter. She had heard that the next show was going to be on the Foursquare, and I briefly explained that to her. And she said, it was a really good question. She said, Dad, do women get treated differently than men when they go and shop for a new car? What do you think, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Many times I have been the wingman. Back in the late 90s, I had, friends that were girls, not girlfriends, but friends that were girls who wanted to buy a car. And they said, can you come with me? And I sat there, and it helps. And even when I went with my wife, when she got the car that I talked about last week, New Year's Eve, it definitely helped. Once you're in the car business and you kind of can talk the lingo and they know you're in the car business, the games usually end. I mean, when we moved here to Seattle, we wanted to go look at some cars. I called the dealership, got the general manager on the phone, said, hey, I'm a car guy. I host a radio show in Los Angeles. I've been a desk manager. I know I don't want to play any games. My wife's interested in this car. Can we come check it out? Sure. Ask for me. I walk in, I ask for the guy, go into he's the general manager of the dealership. He is, which car are you interested? I tell him, he goes, hold on, calls a guy. He hands me a set of keys. Here you go. Just lets me go on a test drive. Never dealt with a salesperson the entire time. Came back in. He said, okay, well, here's some stuff we can do. So just having someone who knows the car business, even if they don't know everything, helps. And females are treated a little bit differently, unless it's a female salesperson, which there are a lot of female salespeople.
Well, there are more now than there have been in the past.
Yeah. And honestly, they're so much better. Like if I owned a car dealership, and I know you can't legally do this, I would only hire female car salespeople because they just do a much better job of taking care of customers. Sorry, men, I hate to say it, but they are just better at the customer service aspect, which to me is more important than the bottom line. Because at the end of the day, if you treat the customers right and you get good reviews, you're going to be in business for a very long time.
So that may be a good tip then, is when you do go to buy a car, you can specifically ask, say, no offense to any of the salesmen here, I would prefer to work with a saleswoman.
Right. Or you can go on their website. A lot of times their entire staff is on the website and their email address is there. You can reach out to that person ahead of time and say, hey, I'm interested in buying a vehicle from you. Now, a lot of times dealerships do the bait and switch because there still is sexism and there still is using sex to sell. They'll have, and I know this is slimy, but they'll put a picture of a really pretty girl on the website, and people reach out to her, and she works in what they call the BDC, the Business Development Center. And she'll get on the phone with you, especially if you're a guy, and get you to come in. You'll meet with her. So you go in and you meet with her. Then she flips you off to a salesman. She doesn't flip you off, but she turns you over to a salesperson, and then he basically puts you through the ringer. So yeah, go on the website, look at their staff, and if you're a female, try to find somebody that you feel comfortable with, and it'll definitely help. So I hope that answered your question without sounding sexist.
Yeah, it's a good point. And that is the world we live in. And auto sales still in general is pretty well a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
And, so it does have some challenges, though. I think, as you've said, and we've discussed this, it's gotten better. It's easier to buy a car now. There's so much more information out there on the internet. And so it's not as sneaky or hidden as it used to be.
Right. And if something positive has come from the current pandemic that we're in, is the dealerships are now doing appointment only. They're doing deliveries. They're doing, contact-free everything. They're making, they don't want you sitting in the dealership for 4 or 5 hours anymore. You can do most of the deal online before you get into the dealership, especially on new cars, which is where, there's not a lot of difference between a Toyota Tacoma in one city or another city or one dealership. It's a brand new car. It's the same car. You don't necessarily need to test drive all of them.
Right.
With a used car, I always say you must test drive it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And with a new car, you must test drive a car, not the car. Because there are some nuances. I mean, I'm sure you've bought jeans, then you bought 2 pair and they're the same size, but they somehow fit differently because it's the manufacturing process. Things are a little different. So yeah, you could get a car that's a little bit quirky in some way, but overall, a new car is a new car.
Do you know the number one, I read this some years ago, the number one reason for people changing their mind about a brand new automobile? The seat, the driver's seat.
The driver's seat?
Yeah, that's the number one thing. People get inside the car. They love the exterior. They love the performance. They love everything. The seat. The seat isn't comfortable. And a lot of people, they get in the car and they don't quite feel comfortable initially. And they think, well, it's just a new car. I'll gradually get used to it because it's not like my old car. But take your time. If that seat doesn't feel comfortable when you sit down in it, even after a mile or 2 test driving it, chances are you're not going to be comfortable in it down the road.
Yeah.
So seats are very, very, very important for your comfort. Volvo, for example, fantastic seats, wonderful comfort inside the Volvo seats. Acura, fantastic seats.
Yes.
And we're not talking about plush. We're just talking about a seat that feels good.
It hugs your tushy.
That's
the technical term. It hugs your tushy. You want good tushy hugging when it comes to the seat.
And that's important because
it is, because you're going to spend a lot of time in that car.
That's right. You're going to get a lot of what they say seat time. And,
yes,
100,000 miles in a car, that's a lot of hours to be sitting down. So you want to be comfortable.
I'm currently driving a 2004 Acura MDX with 229,000 miles on it. And the seat is fantastic.
Yeah.
And they had some problems back then in the mid 2000s where the seats were ripping. And if the Carfax of my car actually shows that the leather seat was repaired at the Acura dealership. The previous owner took it every 3,000 miles to the Acura dealer in Seattle and did work. Everything was done at the dealership. So this was a pampered vehicle, but the seat is super comfortable.
Yeah. They can.
Yeah. Never had an issue.
And in fact, one of the things that's funny about, you see contemporary hot rods that were built in the 90s and 2000s, and the number one seat choice is that Acura leather seating for the, they'll oftentimes reupholster them and remove the headrest so the seat profile is lower for roadsters, or they'll use the standard Acura seats because you can get the heated seating, you can get the power adjustments, the beautiful, cushion comfort and all that. And they put them in custom cars, and fantastic seats.
So I want to do something out of order today.
Okay.
I think it's time. First off, we do want to stump RAFFI. So if you have anything that you think is a question that RAFFI cannot answer about cars, put it in the comments section, and we'll see if we can stump RAFFI. We try this every week. It's rare to stump RAFFI. Sometimes they're obscure things, or like last week, it's worded weird. But other than that, we like to stump RAFFI. But the one thing I think we should do first is you have your old school segment, and I made a tiny little bumper, very quick.
All right.
If you blink, you're going to miss it.
All right.
But it's time to go old school.
Nice.
That was it. That's it.
I like that.
I literally put that together right as we were going on the air. I was saving it and putting it in there while the opening was playing. So,
all right. So let's go old school. So this week on Old School, Dan, I'm really excited about the confluence of this weekend because, as we know, tomorrow is Father's Day.
Oh, yes.
So happy Father's Day to you, because
to you twice.
Thank you.
I only have one child. You have two. So do you get double Father's Day?
I do.
How does that work?
Well, I get 2 Sundays. I pointed that out to my kids this morning. I said, I don't just expect 1 Sunday. I'm getting 2 because it's 2 of you.
Perfect.
So on this segment of Going Old School, my recommendation is, if Dad is still alive today, sit down with Dad and get him to talk about his first car. And a great thing about that is that it's going to bring up lots of memories, lots of nostalgia from Dad. It might be a piece of junk, but he'll talk about how he bought it for a little bit of money, how his friends teased him about it, how he fixed it up. And he might have some pictures of it. And, depending on the price of that car, sometimes Dad's old car can be an awful lot of fun to go and try and find. Now, there are instances where you can find Dad's specific car, that it's been taken care of, it's been restored to something, and you can reunite Dad with the car, or you can buy it and enjoy it yourself. But I always recommend that because there's something kind of magical about that, especially if your father's still alive. He can have that experience with you. And it's also kind of fun to sort of search for a specific car for that specific reason. And I find that sometimes when you go out and you shop for a car like that, when you're looking for it in an emotional way, you tell that story, and people selling the cars tend to be more involved in the story as well. I'll tell you one quick story. My dad had a 49 Chrysler convertible, and he loved that car, and he frequently talked about how great it was and how much he enjoyed putting the top down on it and just driving, cruising. And so he had this car in the late 50s, so he paid not very much money for it, but he enjoyed using it. And this was long after my father had passed away, but I had found some of the old records and photos of his old 49 Chrysler, and I thought, I'd like to get a 49 Chrysler someday. And within a few days, my next door neighbor had told me about his father wanting to sell his 49 Chrysler, and I went and bought it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it needed a ton of work, but it was a great car, a lot of fun, and my kids enjoyed it very much because we'd hop in that car and go get ice cream on the weekend or something like that. So this segment on Old School is sit down, talk to your father, have some conversations around maybe his first car or a car that he felt really that was important to him, and go looking for one. You don't even have to buy it. just go looking for it and encourage that.
You never know what will happen when you go looking for a classic car.
That's true.
Now, my memory that popped in my head was just confirmed because my mom actually just commented simultaneously as I was thinking my dad had a Model A. It was his first car. And if I remember correctly, it was like $35 or something, or 75. I mean, he paid very little for it. And he would have turned 16 in like 1948 because he was born in 32. Okay. So he bought it very cheaply. And I think he sold it very cheaply or for the same thing. I remember the story. Sadly, I can't ask him. He passed away many years ago, but I don't, my mom might remember, but I did a similar thing. I know my mom loved Corvairs. Oh, and she talked about her 60 Corvair and how she hated Ralph Nader ever since, because of what he did to the Corvair. And when I started looking for a classic car, I was looking for a Corvair for a while before I found Big Red Mama, as I ended up calling it, the Chrysler. And I could not find one that was worth, having fun with. And I remember I even drove around, my wife and my son came with me. We went and looked at a couple here and there. And I ended up finding one, a 62 convertible. And I know I've told the story already, but I put it up. I had it, and then it had some carburetor issues. We fixed it. And I had too many cars at this point. I got to the point where I also got a pickup truck to make a Marty McFly truck. And my wife just said, hey, the driveway's getting kind of packed. Can you get rid of something? So I put it on eBay for $9,000, and I paid $2,500 for it. I'm like, no one's I'm trying to sell it. Yeah. And in 30 minutes it sold. And the lead singer of Green Day, Billy Joe Armstrong, is the one who bought it.
Yeah, look at that.
And I shipped it down to California, and it showed up on some other website like a year later, and it came with a framed autograph, but the signed title, the original California title, they had framed, and you could buy this Corvair with his autograph on the title. And it sold for $7,200. So apparently my signature on a title is worth more than Billy Joe Armstrong's. But yeah, I did get a Corvair, and I've always had I've liked the idea of Corvairs because of the history I heard from my parents.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the opportunity this week is share some memories with your pop and see what takes you down the old school road.
Yeah. So if you have any other questions, please post them in the comments. Like I said, we're going a little out of order today. We don't mind doing that sometimes, but now I think we should really quickly do that.
How much is gas where you live?
Do some gas prices.
Okay.
And we always kind of try to figure out where the cheapest gas is in the country and how the trending is going. Is it going up? Is it going down? And we use AAA as our source. So Raffi, where say you?
Well, I've been saying Mississippi for some time because that seems to be a growing trend. For some reason, Mississippi seems to have the cheapest gas in the country. But to buck that trend this week, I'm going to go to Arkansas with the cheapest gas.
You are only off by 3 states.
Okay.
And you're only off by 6 cents.
All right.
So your 6th sense was wrong.
Oh.
It is Mississippi again.
It is Mississippi again?
Yeah. Yep. They're at $1.76.5, which is up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But you do have your $1.76.5. Last week was $1.73.5. So 3 cents since last week.
Yeah. But gas prices overall are going up because some of the restrictions have been lifted that were in place before. People are back on the roads. They're driving. The weather is getting better. And, gas companies are saying, hey, let's raise the prices. People are out there. So
the average across the whole country is $2.12.3. $2.12.3. Right.
Which seems like a lot because, it's amazing how quickly people get used to low priced gas. And then $2.20 sounds like it's an exorbitant amount of money to pay for gas. But it was not that long ago that people were paying $3.50, $3.75 a gallon. So
yeah. I mean, a year ago it was $3.38 here in Washington. The current here in Washington is $2.67.
Yeah.
So, and there there are more taxes on our gas here, but there's also no state income tax here. So,
Yeah.
it kind of balances out, I think, overall. I've put gas in the last 4 months. I've gone to the gas station 3 times total for my vehicle. And I used to go to the gas station 3 times a week.
Well, and think of this too. A gallon of fuel in a modern car takes you sometimes 25, 30% further than it used to when gas was cheaper. So you're actually getting, in many instances, you're getting a better dollar per mile conversion rate for that gallon of energy.
Very true. Very, very true. Now, this isn't a Stump RAFFI. We've not gotten a question to Stump RAFFI this week, but I'm going to see if I can pull this one up. This is the car that a friend of mine wants to get this car.
Okay.
But then he said maybe he'll just get a shell and build it himself. Let's see if I can get this to come up here. Hold on a second. Jim Hemmings Motor News is where this ad is located. You know about Hemmings, of course.
Sure, it's the primary vintage. They used to call it the Bible of the vintage car industry. This is what they call an Eleanor.
The Eleanor.
Yeah, from Gone in 60 Seconds, it received that name as kind of a moniker for the car. But basically what this starts out life as is a 1968 Mustang Fastback. And the 68 Mustang Fastback was really a very, very well-designed car. Just the right amount of balance and proportion. You could get it with the 302 and a 4-speed, and that was plenty of power to have a lot of fun in a car like that. But this car has Shelby modifications. Carroll Shelby, of course, built the Shelby from Shelby American beginning in 65 with the GT350, and then by 67 and 68, they were making substantial modifications to the vehicle exterior with front and rear bumper caps, changes in side venting, and of course, engine packages and suspension changes that made them high-performance vehicles. This vehicle's been not only Shelby modified, but it's been significantly modified as well with a larger hood scoop and different grille opening and bumper caps and vents and other things that have been added to the car to enhance its look. These types of vehicles made by independent shops can be over $100,000 because the builds are quite sophisticated and the componentry and the workmanship that's put into it warrants getting the return on the investment for the people that have contributed to the craft.
So this one, $139,000 is the asking price. Now, if he wanted to just start with a 68 Fastback shell and just build something from scratch, how much could he expect, do you think, to spend just to find, on Bring a Trailer or on Craigslist, as somebody with a 68, even a non-runner, might have the engine and tranny in it, or it might need to be rebuilt, or it might just be a rolling chassis?
So if he starts with a good solid parts car, where let's just say the engine and transmission are out, the wheels and tires are worthless, and the interior needs to be gutted, but the metal itself is in good shape and the floor pan is in good shape. And with the 68 Mustang, you want to be particularly careful regarding the floor because the 68 Mustang has no frame. It's a unibody construction. So the floor is the chassis plate that all the suspension components attach to, and any structural issues, structural rust, types of things like that will have to be tended to. Now you can get all new floor pans and things like that if you have to do the metal work, but oftentimes metal work that's required on a car that's unibody will cause some difficulties with getting it to line up, sit straight, all that stuff. So you want to make sure you start with a good solid body. That might be somewhere between $7,500 and $8,000. And then you would start adding components to it. A full build motor might be with say a 5 or 6 speed modern transmission. That might be another 15 to 20 grand, depending on how much of the work you're able to do yourself. Wheels and tire combination, probably very nicely done up, another 3 grand. Body, interior, and paint, and you're done probably for your internal costs, you can probably get it done for under $50,000 and have a very, very nicely done car. Now, this is if you do the work yourself. You got to be wrenching yourself. You got to get some buddies to come over. You got to sub out some of the other work that you can't do yourself. You got to shop carefully. You wouldn't be buying brand new components. You might be buying stuff that somebody had decided they wanted on their car, but changed their mind and had spares sitting in their garage that you can buy for 50% of what they paid for it.
Right.
Down the road, or you just go down the list and be thoughtful and careful about what you're buying. And you could probably do your own build, like I said, for under 50 grand and get a comparable car.
Well, there you go. So that hopefully answered his question. And yeah, I mean, people don't realize that 50 grand, yeah, you can buy a brand new car for 50 grand, but how much fun is it to spend 2 years to build something from, what looked like a crapper, that you might've bought on Craigslist or somewhere like that.
Yeah. And, again, if these are the kinds of things that you enjoy or you like doing, there's a lot of pressure sometimes from people to finish a project. They might have that project in their garage for 2-3 years. Well, finishing it is not the whole point of doing it. That's certainly a reward, but a big part of the process for people that restore old cars or fix up a custom car or make a car of their own is to be involved in the process. That's the thing they like very much about it, is the engagement.
Yeah. Sometimes it's more fun to cook than to go out to dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of chefs don't even eat their own food because they're so immersed in it. The smells, the action, the activity of it. It's a presentation they deliver to it. It's like many artists. Once they're finished with the painting, they don't even want to look at it. Or actors, they just
can't look at it. I can't see it.
Can't see it. I don't want to see that movie. Have you seen your movie? No, I don't look at it. It just feels, so yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we've covered a lot today.
Yes, we have.
We're almost at an hour already, believe it or not. It goes by quickly. Anything you want to suggest other than, for Father's Day to talk to your dad or your grandfather, if you can, about their first car? Do a little research. You don't have to go out and buy it, but I think that is a great suggestion. And I'm sure they could talk for hours.
Oh, yeah. And listen, cars are great because, they're not just, what you find is when you talk to older people about their car, they don't really talk about the car. The car becomes this sort of vehicle to engage their memories about other things. I talked to my dad years ago because, like you, Dan, my father passed away quite a few years back. But I talked to him about his old cars, and almost immediately he'd be talking about when he was in the service, when he was in the Army, that was when I was in such and such. And, by then, I was working at this place and I delivered newspapers in the morning, and boy, that Chrysler held a lot of newspapers in the trunk. And, and when we were doing this and driving in the snow, and, you get a whole different texture and perspective on their memories. So it's a nice way to have some family time, reflect with your parents, and it's neutral. Cars aren't political. They're not religious. They're none of that stuff. So you're not going to get in trouble if you happen to differ on certain things.
And that's why this show is here, to be neutral and to talk about the love of cars.
There you go.
And that's the only reason. Well, if you have any questions during the week, we do answer them. You can email me. You can send them directly to my email, dan@danrosenberg.com. And if it's for Raffi, I will pass it on to him, and we will know, we'll talk about next week. I guess that's it. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yeah.
Including you.
Thank
you. We'll see you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. And that's about all I've got. Raffi, any closing comments other than the closing comments we've already done? Because I feel like we're closing twice now.
This is twice closing because I guess this is just a new thing. We close twice now.
All right.
This always fun, Dan. It's always a pleasure, and look forward to doing it again next week.
Yep, we'll be here next week at 10 a.m. West Coast time, 1 p.m. East Coast time, or if you're listening on the podcast, find it on your favorite podcast provider. That's it. I've been Dan.
And I've been Raffi.
And this has been, I want to say Car News Radio again. Wow. so weird that after 5 years of not doing a show, it's still stuck in my head.
Yeah. You want to do it again?
I'm going to have to edit this off the podcast. Here we go. And I've been Dan.
And I've been Rafi.
And this has been Clutch Radio. We'll